My name is Nick Kanaan. Growing up, I enjoyed a luxury that many cystic fibrosis don't get in their adolescence, which is virtually no hospital stays. My parents were aware of me having cystic fibrosis prior to my birth, as I had two older sisters who passed away, unfortunately, from the illness. The first 28 years of my life were relatively symptom-free. Things got really bad in the fall of 2017 after landing in Vancouver during our cross-country move. I recall clearly trying to get off the plane and being physically unable to as I was suffocating, essentially, trying to catch my breath.
We slowly finally got off the plane. He was losing his breath. His lips were kind of turning blue. He went really pale in the face. And I realized like something's up with him. I'm really not sure what's going on. I just really felt like defeated then. And I was extremely worried because I had never seen it hit him this hard before.
I was choking and spewing out blood from my lungs. I'd never felt anything like it, and I figured this was related to CF somehow.
Nick received probably the most advanced care you can get for respiratory failure on the planet today. When he arrived, he was in extremis. His lungs were failing. He was placed on life support in the intensive care unit at Vancouver General Hospital. It was very clear that a ventilator using his native lungs was insufficient to support him. And then he was placed on ECMO as a result, which stands for extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. It's essentially a blood machine that takes blood directly out of your body, oxygenates it, and pumps it back in so we can rest your lungs with the hope that they might recover. But it's highly invasive and it carries quite a bit of risk.
When Nick was placed on ECMO, I was feeling extremely overwhelmed. It's hard to see your partner hooked up to so many different IVs and cords and posts.
I was listed for a lung transplant, and only 3.5 weeks later, I actually found a suitable match and was called to undergo the lung transplant, which was an emotionally overwhelming and exhausting feeling, knowing what you're about to go through and sitting in that hospital bed, being prepped for the surgery. I'll never forget my daughter sitting in my sister's lap, eating her little Cheerios out of the bag, and I could not stop looking at her. I'll never forget it. Just being so overwhelmed by not knowing what was going to happen.
Nick received quite a spectrum of care from all healthcare professionals, including respiratory therapists, doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, dietitians, and everyone in the healthcare team. What that looked like for a respiratory therapist standpoint was once he got his lung transplant, they wean him off ECMO, we wean him off the mechanical ventilator, and then we would work on getting him talking, getting his voice back. He has to learn how to use all of his muscles all over again because he's been laying in bed for 3 months not doing anything. Sometimes it can be difficult for them to want to continue because it's such a challenge, but he really pushed through it and he was always positive.
Recovery after the transplant was one of the, if not the most challenging parts of this journey. I essentially had to learn how to move every part of my body, including my face. I had to learn how to breathe. I had to learn how to eat. I had to learn how to stand, sit, walk. This was painful and exhausting in every way. Any basic human function we take for granted daily, I had to relearn. There are so many aspects in my life now that have changed for the better. As my disease progressed and got worse and worse over the years, the daily dedication required for maintaining even the smallest bit of health and lung function sometimes was upwards of 3 hours a day. Since I've had the lung transplant, I've now gained back essentially 3 hours in my day at a time where I've needed it more than ever, being a new father. I'm extremely grateful for my life today. Not a day goes by where I don't reflect on everybody who helped and who supported me to get to where I'm at today. I can now be a father, and I am now here, and I can actually plan a future, which is something I thought was out of the question. If it wasn't for the angels at VGH from the various departments within the hospital who collaborated, worked diligently to ensure my survival as well as my recovery, I have no doubt in my mind I would not be here today, and had I survived, I wouldn't be as fit and as healthy as I am right now.